Angie, and you're watching Dante's Vaccination.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? You know, I have never cared too much about purse bids. But when it comes to this purse bid for Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos, I am counting the days down, and it's only one more day. Since there's not too many big fights to look forward to, and Teofimo refuses to give fans the fights they actually want to watch, that's sparking my interest even more to see what happens in this purse bid. What makes this purse bid so intriguing to me, for those of you guys who don't know, Bob Arum and Teofimo are beefing over money. You see, Teofimo, he made a terrible decision. He told the boxing fans the only reason he was taking the Kambosos fight is because he was going to make way more money fighting George than he would make fighting Devin Haney. That turned out to be the furthest thing from the truth. Because shortly after he said that, we found out that Devin Haney offered him $4 million. He turned that down just to be offered $1.25 million to fight George Kambosos. Now, you would have thought right there, if Teo was really all about making more money, soon as Bob Arum offered him the $1.2 million, he would have said, no, forget that. We're fighting Devin Haney. Because it's time for us to start making money now. We're trying to go forward. We're not trying to go backwards. You would have expected Teofimo to say that when he found out what his own promoter was offering him on the table. For some crazy reason, that's not what he did, despite the fact that Teofimo's own manager already did a recent interview admitting that the IBF would have allowed Teo to fight against Devin Haney next, as opposed to fighting against George Kambosos, despite the fact that even Teo's own promoter admits, which I'm gonna get into the quote, but even he admitted that Lopez versus Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, or Tank Davis would have been a sizzling big fight that basically would have been worth buying as a promoter. Arum said that Kambosos is not even an elite fighter. And this is the reason why Bob is offering Teo the bare minimum, $1.25 to fight Kambosos, and that's why the fight is going to purse bid. Bob said that Kambosos ain't even on a Jorge Linares level, which coincidentally is possibly the next opponent that Devin Haney will end up fighting, since he could not get Teofimo in the ring. So since Teo decided to turn down the guaranteed $4 million to fight Devin Haney, he decided to gamble against Bob Arum, take this fight to purse bid, hoping that someone else will buy this fight and come closer to paying Teo the money he wanted in the first place to fight George Kambosos. So now we find out the truth is, Teofimo was determined to make the Kambosos fight more than any other fight. But Bob Arum is betting against this fighter because he doesn't believe that one of the other promoters is going to buy this fight at a big price. And that is what makes this purse bid so interesting, to see if this gamble is going to pay off. This is basically Bob Arum and Teofimo betting against each other. Can Teofimo go to a purse bid and make more money in the purse bid than he would have made fighting Devin Haney, when, once again, it was Teo all along that said, it's all about the money now. It's time for me to start making money. He actually said that. We're going to see if the gamble pays off. Now, let me just go ahead and get into the exact quote of what Bob Arum said about the situation. He said this to The Athletic. Quote, Kambosos is not that Thai guy, a complete bum. He's talking about Josh Taylor's opponent, the one he just knocked out in the first round. So then Arum, he continues, he says when it comes to Kambosos, he's a pretty decent fighter, a gutty guy. But again, that doesn't mean that he is an elite fighter, which against Teofimo would make a real sizzling matchup like a Tank Davis, a Devin Haney, or a Ryan Garcia. He's not even a Jorge Linares, which again, you could make an argument for. He's a decent guy and courageous, and it's a fight. But do you have any doubt that the fight would go off at a big price? If someone buys that fight, God bless him. End quote. Guys, let me tell you something. It's really difficult to defend you choosing to fight an opponent that even your promoter won't stand by and refuses to promote. He refuses to put on a fake smile and try to get people to go out and buy this fight. Bob is telling it straight up like it is. He's saying this is not an elite fight, and I don't see anybody paying big money to buy it in the purse bid. So Teofimo really has no one of significance pushing for this fight. Now, don't get me wrong, somebody is definitely going to buy this fight in the purse bid. But another problem that Teo is going to have, once again, Teo wants to make money. And the problem with him wanting to make money is he's going to have to still pay Bob Arum a good percentage of the 75% that he's going to make in the split. So I believe, at least what I'm hearing, is he's going to pay anywhere from 15 to 20%. Most people are saying he's going to have to pay Bob Arum 20%, which is a hell of a chunk when you think about the fact you got to pay your trainer, you got to pay the cut man, you got to pay your sparring partners, you got to pay your manager, and then you got to pay Bob Arum. So if you were going to get taxed like that, it would have made way more sense when you're doing the math to fight Devin Haney for $4 million. But the concern is obvious when it comes to Teofimo. He feels the same way the man that was just trying to defend him on ESPN feels, and that's Tim Bradley. He feels that that is too much of a risk because he could possibly lose. But guess what, Teo? If you lose, you can come back. You lose to him, you go fight someone else, beat them, beat another guy, and then you come back and try to avenge the loss. That's how sports usually work. Teo, you need to stop worrying about losing to someone. If you got confidence in yourself, you should go in there, win, lose, or draw, guns blazing. If you lose, you just go back to the drawing board, come back stronger. It's a shame we have to give fighters pep talks just to give them confidence to do normal things that fighters are supposed to do. At least if they're destined to be great. If they're destined to be the real takeover. You can't be out here just taking parts when your name is supposed to be the takeover. That's not how it works. Teo is so worried about losing to Devin Haney. But guess what? Muhammad Ali, he lost to Joe Frazier. Came back and beat Joe Frazier twice. Sugar Ray Leonard, he lost to Roberto Duran. Came back, made him quit, and beat him twice. It's called dealing with adversity. But dealing with adversity just doesn't come in the form of losing. So Teofimo, he needs to find that confidence that Devin Haney has. He should be on the same level as Devin when it comes to that level of confidence. And clearly he's not. Because Devin Haney has never second-guessed a Teofimo fight. Did you guys know that Devin Haney was calling out Teofimo before Teo fought Lomachenko? Before Teo fought Richard Comey? Devin Haney was calling him out. That's the type of confidence I'm talking about. So my point is, you would have never heard Devin say, oh, I'm not fighting him. Who has he fought? Who has he fought? No. He wanted to fight him because that was another undefeated fighter that was looking to be the future of the sport because he was calling himself the takeover. So Devin is like, oh, you calling yourself the takeover, then you got to come see me. That's all Devin needed to hear to call him out. This is the type of confidence that Teofimo is supposed to have, and he doesn't. You can't just be the takeover of Australia. You got to be the takeover in all of boxing, in America and everywhere else. Speaking of being the takeover everywhere, Teo is now talking about fighting against Josh Taylor. And I say Josh Taylor because Josh is going to beat Jose Ramirez easy. So now he's talking about fighting Josh Taylor. He's talking about completely abandoning what we've been calling the Fab Four, which means it was never a Fab Four if you had fighters in that four that really didn't think that they were fabulous deep down or never wanted to participate in the Final Four. So Teo is planning on going after Josh Taylor, which means he really just wants to be the MBF takeover. So with that being said, I want to close this video out with a comment that I received from one of the Teofimo Lopez supporters, of course, defending everything that he's doing right now. Everyone already knows it's extremely common to hear Mexican fans or just Latino fans in general. And the reason why I say Mexican fans or Latino fans is because a lot of times when I say Latino fans, other Latinos like Puerto Ricans, they start posting comments like, hey, it's not the Puerto Ricans, those are mainly Mexicans that are saying those things. And then on top of that, you have a lot of fans in the comment section that identify themselves as Mexican fans. So anyway, you'll have a lot of Mexican fans defending Teofimo. What they love to say when it comes to any black versus non-black type of fight, especially when it's black versus Latino, you always see the comments, why don't you black fighters, this is basically what they're saying, why don't you black guys leave the Latinos alone and just fight against each other? This is basically what they're always saying. They just say it in different ways. You know, oh, why doesn't Charlo and Andre just fight against each other? Soon as Charlo becomes Canelo's mandatory, all of a sudden, why doesn't Charlo just fight Demetrius Andrade? When Edislani Lara wanted to fight Gennady Golovkin, I want to see Lara versus Mayweather. That's the fight I want to see. But before Lara was calling out Golovkin, these same fans were saying that Lara and Floyd Mayweather was so boring. Now they want to see them fight against each other. We know what time it is. This is always their main defense. I have seen tons of these comments on the internet, mainly from Mexican fans. But this comment I received the other day, this fan, he accidentally told the truth when he said what he said. I want to read this comment. Check it out. This guy, he says, well, you are another person who talks about boxers to make money in YouTube, but why you never dream about Tank versus Devin? Because you hope that the black dudes can keep the undefeated record as long as possible. So with this guy who was trying to defend Teofimo or Ryan Garcia, he just basically said, if Devin fights Teo, he keeps his undefeated record. If Tank fights Ryan Garcia, he keeps his undefeated record. In other words, he's saying, you know that Devin is better than Teo. You know that Tank Davis is better than Ryan Garcia. And you know the only way for a Devin or Tank Davis is to put a blemish on their record is if they fight against each other. This guy just accidentally told on himself and he doesn't even realize it. I mean, it was already common sense when I would see all of these messages of, why doesn't the black guy just fight against the black guy? You know, it was already common sense that they were saying they don't want to see their fighter lose to the black guy. And this is what I mean when I tell you guys, boxing is about race, nationality, and pride. They make all of this about race. But when it comes to me, let's say, for example, if there was a Mexican fighter calling out some big name black fighter, have you guys ever heard me say, why doesn't that Mexican guy just fight the other Mexican guy? Have you ever heard any black fans say that? You will never hear anything like that. If a Mexican guy is calling out a black guy, the black guys are going to be like, I want to see this fight. Oh, I can't wait to see this fight. Just like David Benavidez saying that he wants to fight Jamal Charlo. Have you heard any black person say, man, forget that? Why doesn't David Benavidez just focus on Canelo? Why doesn't he just focus on Caleb Plant? No. And the crazy thing is Jermall Charlo, he's not even fighting at 168 yet. And this is the type of pressure that black fans put on Jermall Charlo. We want to see the fight. Jermall Charlo said he wanted the fight. David said he wanted the fight. Now we all want the fight. Nobody is saying, nah, man, David should leave him alone. Go fight somebody else. Something else that really makes that comment sound crazy when you hear Mexicans or other Latinos say, why don't you just leave the Mexican fighter alone? And why don't the black fighters fight against each other? Why would you, as a Latino fan or even a boxing fan, want to watch a fight where your guy is not fighting and you have no one to passionately root for? That's like a football fan saying that he wants to see two teams go to the Super Bowl, but he doesn't want his team to be in the Super Bowl. Why wouldn't you want your team to go to the Super Bowl? Right? Why wouldn't you want your soccer team to go to the World Cup? Why wouldn't you want your country to go to the gold medal match in the Olympics? Only when it comes to boxing will you hear a fan not want his own guy to participate in the fight. Because look, guys, it's not a secret. We all know that Latinos do not root for black fighters if a black fighter is fighting against a Latino or anyone who's not black. You will never see Latinos rooting for a black fighter when he's fighting against a non-black fighter. If you don't believe me, just read the comments in the comment section on anyone's videos. You'll notice that, like, for example, if Lomachenko beats a black fighter, you'll see black people in the comment section congratulating Lomachenko, man, that was a great performance, etc., etc. You can go back and look at my comments on my videos, my post-fight videos. Lomachenko, if he's beating Nicholas Walters, he's beating Guillermo Rigondeaux. Tons of black people are congratulating Lomachenko. Whenever a black fighter beats a Mexican fighter or someone who's not black, go back and look at the comments. You will never see any congratulations, any praises. Only thing you're going to see, if they even post, is going to be discrediting him. Oh, that guy was a bum. Oh, something was wrong with his leg. Or whatever the fact, oh, that fight was boring, right? You will never see them congratulating. So this is the reason why I say, why would you be saying, when you never root for black fighters, why would you be the one saying, well, why don't the two black guys just fight against each other? We know what time it is. We know what time it is, don't we? And let me just make a final point. It was Ryan Garcia that was calling out Tank Davis. He was the one aggressively calling out Tank Davis, telling Tank Davis, hey, Tank, you better take this fight next. If you don't take this fight next, your career is gonna go downhill, etc., etc. Don't run away from me after you see what I do to Luke Campbell. That was Ryan saying that, right? And after T.O. beat Lomachenko, he mainly focused on Tank Davis and Devin Haney. He didn't even really focus that much on Ryan Garcia's name. He kept saying in the post-fight press conference, he said, yeah, you know, I want to clean the division up before I move up. You know, they can get it next. Tank Davis, Devin Haney. He said he wants those fights, but he doesn't think they will step to the plate. This is what T.O. Fimo said. So these fans will hear Ryan say these things, they will hear T.O. say these things, and they will still say, well, why don't the black guys just fight against each other? Or why you don't want to see that fight? As a boxing fan, I want to see all of those fights. But because you guys are calling T.O. Fimo the man to beat, you guys are calling him undisputed when he's not undisputed because he doesn't have the WBC belt. When you're saying all of these things, you guys may not realize it, especially old media, but it's you guys that are putting a bigger target on T.O.'s back. And when it comes to Ryan, he put a target on his own back when he started aggressively calling out Tank Davis. The reason why I was calling it a Final Four, because I was hoping that eventually all of those guys would fight each other until there was one man standing. But unfortunately, that's most likely not going to happen if it's up to T.O. Fimo and possibly Ryan Garcia. But I'm going to get into the Ryan Garcia situation, at least what he just said recently. But I'm going to wrap this video up for now. I'm on to the next one, guys. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, then this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called Elo Diki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to elodiki.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram. Fellas, I've got some great news for you. If you've lost your hair or have a receding hairline, the time has come when you can finally get your hairline back through a process called scalp micropigmentation. So here's how it works. It's a hair tattoo that replicates the look of your hair follicles when you have fully shaved it down. So to get this hookup, make sure you follow and contact my man Scalp Carolinas on Instagram.